All right, back to working on the new shed. Been a little busy beaver. Actually, a friend and I have. So what we've done is this is my weekly or my yearly 1 week rental of a mini excavator because, you know, you got to have your fun. And unfortunately, I can't take the whole week off. I am taking a couple days off work. Had to get some stuff done around here. But over the 4th of July weekend, what I've done is to start off with, we have trenched in 4 conduits right here. So we have two 2.5-inch conduits, one of them with a tracer wire on it. So we know where it's been laid. And then we have these two, both of the 2.5-inch conduits come all the way from the power meter, which is 335 feet of conduit. Then we have our 2-inch conduit right here. The 2-inch conduit is coming from the other shop. Now this is for a potential airline and potentially an airline, and then also potentially a future communication line for internet, stuff like that. Because as I've mentioned in other videos, I do want to put a building next door to this one, rather than go through the trouble of trying to go from our cable and internet, which is on the back corner of the house. If we can, which the shop already has internet, we can just go ahead and run a cat cable, category 5 cable, through this into this building. We're going to put a box right here on the wall, and then we can run it out of that box and then to the next building next door without any problems. So what I'm going to do right now, actually what I've also done is I've gone ahead and scraped the grass up away from right here, so we can start working on putting in the driveway right down through here. We did put I didn't want the conduit sitting in the driveway, so we came over here, and I'll actually walk up here and I'll show you how we went across the yard with the conduit. But you can see the 2-inch conduits come up there in the back of the current shop. But basically we came across the back of the current shop, and then we went out across the front yard to the power pole. So nice sweeping arc. It'll make it easier for the electricians to pull the wire through the conduit. So that'll actually be kind of nice for them. I consulted with them for the 2.5-inch conduit instead of last year when I ran new power to the current shop. I used 2-inch conduit, and then because of the distance, 300 and some odd feet, we decided to use 2.5-inch conduit this time. So the second piece of conduit is for power for the future building. That way I don't have to trench a long distance anymore from the power pole to the new building, so we can just run the wire to here and then just go back down underground to the new building, which will be 15 feet from the edge of this one. But what I want to work on now is I want to work on, one of my plans eventually is to put gutters on this building. So I need to trench in a tile for just a solid tile for gutters. I'm just going to do 4-inch, and then basically go around, and then come. What we've done is I should be able to shoot over the pipe right there if all of our math works correctly. And actually I may take a little bit harder turn, shoot over the pipe right there, and then basically straight out towards the pond. That is my goal. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay 2 lines in there together. I'm going to lay one solid line for the gutters, and then I'm also going to lay a tile line, which will help in the immediate need since I don't have gutters on the building. If I put the tile line in there, it will save all of this. It'll drain when it rains, because you can see water sits here. I'm going to go down about 2 feet for that. And basically I'm going to go down 2 feet the whole way so I can get my drop. And so I'll basically set an elevation, and then I'll set up the level, and we will run it out towards the pond. I really don't want to tear up all of that grass, but you know, it's one of those deals that I don't really know a way to not do it. So you know, we'll just tear up the grass and it'll be repairable. So next couple days I'll get that done, working in the evenings and stuff. Over here, I just want to put gutters in, so there'll just be a line down the edge of the building. It'll be relatively shallow because this shouldn't be disturbed again, so it'll just come down the edge of the building, and you know, call that good. It'd probably be 18 inches underground, then bring it out here, and we'll tee into wherever, you know, wherever we end up out here. So I may, now that I'm sitting here looking at the elevations, I may bring it out around here and then cut straight across. And this year I may actually just stop it all right here and put a marker, and then next year trench out that way. So let me get all set up. I need to come in here. I need to get my level out and stuff like that. I need to come finish scraping all the dirt away from this right here, and we will go from there. All right, so I can't remember where I stopped the previous video. I got a little busy, and then if you can tell by the sky here, it wasn't forecasted to rain last night, and it ended up raining. And so basically I was in a bit of a hurry to get things done. My wife was helping me, and I didn't get any video of what we did. So what I was saying, when I think in the last part of the video, is we were going to run a drain tile. So what I've done is I'll actually go up here. I've already excavated all this, gotten the slope right, and then already covered it back in. So what we did is we basically have about a 1/4 inch of fall per 10 feet approximately. Not a whole lot, but that's about what we have to work with for where we're at. So on the outside of this trench right here, we've got that drain tile, and it's a perforated drain tile. So this one right here is a perforated drain tile, and then we have that one right there, which is a regular drain tile. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to run them up right here and put a cap on them, duct tape the cap to it, and call it good for right now. Eventually we'll leave a cap on that one, buried under the ground with a access to it. That way we can jet it out if we need to. If anything starts to grow in it, we can do that. The other one will eventually connect to the gutter right here. And then down here, I got in a little bit of a rush, and I wasn't paying attention to where I was at with the excavator because it was dark when I was doing this. I actually should have come off the building and teed into that pipe right here, which I will probably go ahead and dig this out again, and I'll have to do some of that by hand, but I'll dig that out again, basically straight in there like that. I'll have to bring the excavator in here and do that. So get that done, and then over here, and I'll show you my map. And one of the reasons I didn't have a lot of height to work with is we were headed over. So this is the conduit line that we ran into the shop right here. I needed to go over that conduit line with the drain tile. So I had to pay attention to my depth to know where the conduit line was, so I wasn't digging. I didn't have to go underneath the conduit line. That's why the slope isn't necessarily as aggressive as I would have hoped it to be. So you can see all the water in the trench. I'll have to drain that out, and I'll have to get some elevation on it, make sure that we still have our slope. It doesn't look like it caved in too much due to the rain. It wasn't supposed to rain until this afternoon, but we ended up getting an inch of rain overnight. So, and I mean, I'm talking an inch of rain in like 30 minutes is what we got. So basically one of the reasons that I didn't get any video and a lot of it was dark was the rain. And then also my wife helped me spread out all that sod that I scraped up out of here. I just kind of pile it up over there, and we were able to stretch some of it out, and so we could possibly keep it. So basically there's just going to be a straight line for the driveway, and I'll have to fill all this in and stuff like that, but we'll eventually get there. So what I'm going to do is these are going to come down here. I stopped here because this is when it finally got a little cool enough for us to work with the sod. And then I need to come out a little bit farther to right here, and where it's going to curve and go down to the pond. At the same time, I'm going to come in here and go ahead and start up that far end and bring a line straight down. And this will be the line for the gutters over here. There won't be a drain tile line because there's enough slope there. I don't think we need the drain tile line for the immediate future. The drain tile line on the other side is just that. It's just a drain tile line for, in fact, it probably won't even be used really once we put the gutters in, but it is there just in case because that's a flat area. So what I'm going to do, bring a solid line down here, basically have those two come out, tee into that line, and then come out here to right here, bring those two down. After the drain, after that perforated tile stops right there, it'll become a solid tile. Those two solid tiles will come down here, and they will basically run all out here into the pond. So that is the plan. Now getting my fall right through here is going to be a little bit of a, because it's actually a pretty decent distance to fall. I think we've got about 4 feet that we need to fall from where I'm standing to the edge of the pond. So got a little bit of work to do, getting my fall right and everything, spreading it out over the entire length. So I am going to let it dry for a couple more minutes, probably another 30 minutes or so. I've got a couple other things to do, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get to work. So I don't know if I'll get any video of me on the excavator or not, but I want to go start a fire with all the stuff that we've cut down now that everything's nice and wet. Get that going, and we can start digging. Well, it's a couple days later, and any good tile system needs to be tested. And so since we haven't gotten any rain, I went ahead and got the John Deere 15 pump out, and we're going to pump a little water out of the pond and into the tank here. And then we're going to take and dump it in the tile lines that we put in. You saw in the previous part of the video, all these are now covered in. Gone ahead and broomed everything. And so I'm going to go ahead and try those out. Basically stop at each one of the tile lines, dump a little water in, see if it flows out. This little John Deere 15 pump is pretty impressive for its size and how much water it'll produce. So this is a 250 gallon tote. I mean, it's just purring right along, and well, it filled up in about 2.5 minutes, something like that. So gonna wait for this to fill up, and then we'll have a little fun. All right, well, we've already tested one side, so now we're testing the other side of the building, and just turned the water on. It'll probably actually beat me down there, because I got about halfway down here and realized I forgot the camera. So basically it runs down through here. Like I mentioned in the earlier video, I already got in here and broomed all this with the 60 HD broom into the trench. And a lot of this I did not get on video. I will have to apologize. We did a lot of this late at night, or late in the evening, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. One of the perks of living in the upper Midwest this time of year is the fact that it basically is daylight till about 10 o'clock at night. Yep, I hear it running. So obviously I got to straighten all this out. Oh yeah, I got good flow. So there it is. This right here is just the drain tile. So the perforated tile on the far side of the shop. where it's level. I didn't think we need a drain tile on this side of the shop because there's so much slope there. Meets the building, the clearing requirements for slope and everything. On the other side, it doesn't necessarily meet the equivalent for, it does meet the equivalent for slope, or it will when we get done. But instead of that water sitting there, I figure if we install the drain tile, it'll at least give it somewhere to go. So, but everything appears to work. There's no apparent, nothing terrible in terms of high spots, because it seems like it's got some good flow. I don't hear any burbling or anything like that for such a short run. If it had too high of a spot in it, it would cause some gulping issues that we would hear at the end of the pipe, and I didn't hear that. The reason I wanted to test it is because we're actually right up here at this corner. We were filling in the trench. This was actually after dark, filling in the trench, and I was pushing with the excavator, and when I pushed the dirt in, I actually flipped one of the pipes on top of the other one. I guess a clump of sod or something caught it, and so we actually had to dig up right through here by hand. Basically scraped all the scraped all as much off as we could, and then hand dug the rest. So, and it was able to go over the conduit just like I had planned. And then in the future, and I don't think I have much of this, but in the future, we actually went pretty deep with the conduit right here. So if we want to run a drain tile, the conduit's almost 4 feet deep right here at this swale in the driveway. So if we want to run something on the edge of this driveway in the future, we can, and then run it out there. Also, unexpectedly, so this is the driveway that we're going to get compacted in here pretty soon. It's supposed to rain tonight, but took all that sod and spread it out here. It actually looks pretty good. We're supposed to get some rain tonight, so I put grass seed in it. And basically what I did is I just scooped it up. We had to cut some of the sod, like these pieces right here. We cut that with a machete and just laid it out, and then filled in all the holes with just some good topsoil, and then put some grass seed on top of it all. I might water it in a little bit before dark here. But I think this turned out pretty good. And then what we'll do is we'll come in here and build up this part of the driveway a little bit, probably a couple inches, with some road base, at least to the level of the grass, because right now it's a drop off. And so we'll do that. And then at a future date, we actually have, and the reason I'm doing this is not originally part of the driveway. This is, so the previous owners used a four-wheeler and a harrow to smooth their driveway, which is pretty effective if you want to get out the small bumps continuously. But when they turn around, and so when you come down here with a four-wheeler and you turn around, the harrow obviously slings out to the side. And over time, what was a pretty small area became a pretty big area, and there was actually no base underneath it. And so unfortunately it created a little bit of a lip out here. And so we got a little low spot where this dead grass is, and then we've got a high spot right here. So probably at a later date, I'm going to come in here with the tiller and till a couple passes right in here and just spread that out some. And then that'll create a nice level flow where there's no water holding in this area right here to create a swamp. This actually smoothed out pretty good for me taking the grass out with the front end loader on the 4066. So I'm pretty happy with that, and then ran the lawn roller over it last night with the 140. But I mean, all of these are pretty simple projects. I'm sorry there's no more action in this video, but it shows you that, with a little bit of effort, you can make a lot of progress. Basically rented an excavator for a week, put in, so there's two 335-foot conduit lines, and then there's two 100-foot conduit lines. So I can do there's 2-inch there, 2.5 inch there, and then ran almost 600 feet of drain tile in that week with the excavator, along with did some other projects around the house. Electrician's supposed to come in the next couple days, go over how I want to do the power to the building, and then hopefully in the next week we'll work on putting some lights in there. So at least that's the plan. But I think I'm going to wrap this video up. Like I said, I'm sorry there's no more action, just a matter of when you're working on this kind of stuff, it's extremely difficult to get action shots and be efficient with doing the work, particularly when you're renting something. There's a really pretty cloud right there. That's a storm. It actually passed over us as it was forming, and I got a couple drops of rain about an hour ago, and now it's in Minnesota now. So pretty storm. I'm sure the people in there are not really appreciating it, but we're supposed to get some storms later. You can probably just see them on the horizon over there. So anyway, thanks for watching.